All right, so let's start working through the law of definite proportions and percent by mass. All right, so definite proportions tells us that in any compound, we have defined amounts of each element that make up that compound. All right, for example, for it to be water, it must have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. We can figure this out. We can figure out the amount of mass or the percent of mass of each element in a compound by using percent by mass. So in this example, we're going to use sucrose. All right, sucrose, assuming that is a sugar, is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So in this problem, you would be given a certain amount. So in this case, we are going to be working with 20 grams of sucrose. All right, so that is going to be our mass of the compound. All right, and we are going to be given the masses of each of these elements. We can also get these off of the periodic table, and I will go over how to do that in another video. All right, so first we have carbon. In this case, we have 8.44 grams of carbon. We have 1.3 grams of hydrogen, okay, and we have 10.26 grams of oxygen. Now, each of these is our mass of element. So to set it up, we just need to divide these. So that would be grams of carbon divided by our 20 grams of sucrose. This would be 1.3 grams of hydrogen divided by 20 grams of our sucrose. This would be 10.26 grams of oxygen, again, divided by 20 grams of our sucrose. To be able to get this into a percentage, we must multiply by 100, not percent, by 100. Right, so each of these has to be multiplied by 100. All right, we use our handy dandy calculators, and what we end up with is that 42.2% of a sucrose molecule is composed of carbon, 6.5% of that sucrose molecule is composed of oxygen, which makes sense. It is the lightest or the least massive element on the periodic table. And last but not least, 51.39 or 51.4% of our mass is composed by oxygen, which is slightly more massive than carbon. All right, so that is percent by mass. Oops, I made a quick mistake here. That's 51.3. 3 and 2 plus 5 would give us a whole number. Ooh, little mistake there, but that's okay. All right, so if you add these all up, this should give you your 100%. All right, so we will do a few more examples of these, this percent by mass. And I will also take you through how to use your periodic table for this. But for now, this is the example. You can also find one of these in the slides provided.